It's this sense of loyalty. Exactly what was still lacking. Ziyan never expected that after breaking through 2 Dousheng, he could with one slap defeat 3 advanced half-Doushangs, sending them coughing up blood. Everyone wore faces of disbelief. 2 years ago, Ziyan was only at the peak of Dou Saint. Now he had directly broken through 2 Dousheng, which is not half-Dousheng, but true Dousheng. Half-Saint and Dou Saint differ by just one character, yet they represent to vastly terrifying levels. Take Guyu for example. Since he entered half-Dousheng, decades have passed, yet he has only reached advanced half-Dousheng. But Ziyan skipped half-Saint entirely, leaping from peak Dou Saint straight to true Dou Saint. Just hearing this would make one spit blood in anger, let alone witnessing it firsthand. Yao, relying on his half-life strength, tried to kill Ziyan on the spot, but unexpectedly, the sudden arrival of Yao Lao and Tong Zun interrupted his plan. Ultimately, he had to retreat in disgrace. Meanwhile, Ziyan and the others returned to Xinyan Pavilion. Not long after returning to Xinyan Pavilion, Ziyan began seclusion, according to Yao Lao and others' expectations, with Bodhi Heart and Bodhi Pill assisting. Breaking through 2 half-Dousheng shouldn't be too difficult, but what puzzled Yao Lao was, even after 2 full years, Ziyan's seclusion was not over. During these 2 years, Central Plains was quite turbulent. Tianming sect declared alliance with Bin Ancient Wine Pavilion, along with some other well-known sects in Central Plains, calling themselves the Ming Alliance. As their power grew, their ambitions also expanded. They even set their sights on Xingyun Pavilion. Over the past 2 years, Xingyun Pavilion's strength has also been steadily growing. Plus, Yao Lao, an advanced half-Dousheng, as witness. To defeat Xingyun Pavilion in battle, the opponent would need at least 2 advanced half-Doushangs. But as far as Yao Lao knew, in the Ming Alliance, only Tianming sect's Tianming Old Demon had reached advanced half-Dousheng. So they couldn't? Where did they get the confidence to declare war on Xingyun Pavilion? Just as he was wondering, at the entrance of the new realm, space suddenly tore open a large rift. Then a large group of figures rushed into the new realm. Leading them was Tianming sect's Tianming Old Demon. Could he be considered an old rival? Is he considered an old rival? Since only Tianming the Old Demon is a high-level half-saint, Yao Lao naturally is not afraid of this. But at this moment, another spatial rift tore open, and 2 figures slowly emerged from it. To everyone's shock present, both of these were half-saint level warriors. Even on Yao Lao's aging face, a fierce expression appeared. One of them was none other than the second heavenly venerable, Guyu. Yet even so, not a single person from crossing Yan Pavilion surrendered or laid down their arms. They vowed to fight to the death. Yao Lao faced off alone against Guyu and the old demon Tianming, while the remaining junior half-saint, the third heavenly venerable, was left to be handled by Cailing and Qingling along with Ziyi Xian. Yao Lao knew clearly in his heart, 1 person against 2 advanced half-saints was a grim situation with little hope. But given the circumstances, there was no other choice. Immediately, the fierce battle between both sides erupted. Yao Lao reached out his hand into the void and grabbed, forcing Guyu back dozens of meters. Although all 3 were advanced half-saints, Yao Lao possessed an advantage that ordinary half-saints did not have. That was his soul power far surpassed theirs. When fighting opponents of the same level, the benefits brought by soul power gave him a significant upper hand, and the advantage to gain the upper hand. Unfortunately, the enemy had 2 advanced half-saints. Meanwhile, the other battle circle was also raging fiercely. Cai Lin, Qing Lin, and Ziyi Xian were no ordinary Dou Saint warriors. One was the 7-colored sky-swallowing python, another was the ancient heavenly snake, and the other had a venomous and difficult body. If not for their special physics, they would have long since become souls under the blades of the 3 heavenly venerables. Yet even so, they still were no match for him, only able to hold out a little longer. This was the difference between a Dou Saint and a Dousheng. Back on Yao Lao's side, as the battle dragged on, he gradually fell behind. Ultimately, he was hit hard and spat blood. At this point, it could be said, crossing Yan Pavilion was almost powerless to resist, forced to be slaughtered at will. However, just as they prepared to unleash a massacre, the entire golden ring suddenly trembled violently. All the peaks shook wildly as if from an earthquake, trembling uncontrollably. Then a chilling cold voice suddenly echoed powerfully through this space. Within the new realm today, those who stand against me shall die. Ziyan never imagined that after breaking through 2 Dousheng, he could with one palm strike 3 half-saints to spit blood. Everyone wore faces of disbelief. 2 years ago, Ziyan was only at the peak of Dou Saint. Now he has directly broken through to Dousheng. This Dousheng is not a half-saint, but a true Dousheng. The difference between half-saint and Dousheng is just one simple word, yet it represents a terrifying gap in levels. Take Guyu, for example. Since he entered half-saint, decades have passed, but he has only reached advanced half-saint. Yet Zi Yan has directly skipped half-saint, leaping from the peak of Dou Saint to a true Dou Sheng. Just hearing about it would make anyone furious enough to spit blood, let alone witnessing it firsthand. Originally, Wei, relying on his half-life strength, wanted to kill Zi Yan on the spot, but unexpectedly, the sudden appearance of Yao Ji and Tong Sun interrupted his plan. In the end, he had no choice but to flee in defeat. Zi Yan and the others then returned to Xinyan Pavilion. Not long after returning to Xinyan Pavilion, Zi Yan began his seclusion, according to Elder Yao and the others' expectations. With the help of Bodhi Heart and Bodhi Pill, breaking through to half-saint should not be too difficult. But what puzzled Elder Yao was that even after 2 full years, Zi Yan's seclusion had not ended. During these 2 years, Central Continent was quite turbulent. Tianming sect announced an alliance with Bin Ancient Wind, along with other well-known sects in Central Continent, calling themselves the Ming Alliance. As their power grew, their ambitions also expanded, even setting their sights on Xinyan Pavilion. Over the past 2 years, Xinyan Pavilion's power also steadily increased, and with Elder Yao, an advanced half-saint, as proof, to defeat Xinyan Pavilion, the opponent would need at least 2 advanced half-saints. But according to Elder Yao, in the Ming Alliance, only Tianming sect's old demon Tianming has reached advanced half-saint, so they cannot. Where do they get the confidence to declare war on Xinyan Pavilion? Just as this doubt lingered, the space at the entrance of the new realm suddenly tore open a large rift, and a large group of figures rushed into the new realm. Leading them was old demon Tianming from Tianming sect. Is he an old rival? Since old demon Tianming is the only advanced half-saint, Elder Ya naturally was not afraid. But at that moment, another spatial rift tore open, and 2 figures slowly emerged. Everyone present was shocked, because these 2 were also half-saint experts. Even on the aging faces, a fierce expression appeared. One of them was none other than a Tianzun Guyu. But even so, not a single person from crossing Yan Pavilion surrendered or laid down their arms. They vowed to fight to the death. Yao Lao was facing Guyu and old Tianming alone, while the remaining junior half-victory 3rd Tianzun had to be handled by Xiling, Qingling, and the 3 young immortals. Yao Lao knew clearly in his heart that 1 person against 2 advanced half-victories was a grim prospect. But given the current situation, there was no other choice. Immediately, the fierce battle between both sides ignited. Yao Lao instantly reached out his hand into the void, directly pushing Gu Yu back dozens of meters. Although all 3 were advanced half-victories, Yao Lao possessed an advantage that ordinary half-victories did not have. That was his soul power, which far exceeded theirs. In battles of equal rank, the benefits brought by soul power gave them a significant upper hand. Unfortunately, the opponents had 2 advanced half-victories. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, the fight was equally intense. Xilin, Qinglin, and the young immortal Ziyi were no ordinary Dozan warriors. One possessed the 7-colored devouring sky mang, another the ancient heavenly snake, and the third had the evil poisonous body. If not for these special physics, they would have long since become spirits under the blades of the 3 Tianzun. Yet even so, they still were no match for him. They could only hold out a little longer. This was the gap between a Dozan and a Dou Sheng. Meanwhile, on Yao Lao's side, as the battle dragged on, he gradually fell behind. Eventually, he was struck by a blow that made him spit fresh blood. At this point, crossing Yan Pavilion was almost powerless to resist, only able to be slaughtered at will. However, just as they were about to unleash a massacre, the entire star realm suddenly trembled violently. All the mountains shook wildly as if there was an earthquake. Then, a chilling, cold voice suddenly echoed through the space. Today, within the star realm, those who oppose me shall die. Zi Yan never imagined that after breaking through to Dou Sheng, he could with one palm strike 3 half-victory warriors to the point of spitting blood. Everyone was filled with disbelief. 2 years ago, Zi Yan was merely at the peak of Dou Saint, and now he had directly broken through to Dou Sheng. Dou Sheng is not half-saint, but a true Dou Sheng. Now he has directly broken through to Dou Sheng. This is not a half-saint, but a true Dou Sheng. The difference between half-saint and Dou Sheng is just 1 character, but it represents a terrifying gap in levels. Take Guyu for example. Ever since he reached half-sheng, several decades have passed, yet he has only just reached the advanced half-saint level. Meanwhile, Zi Yan actually bypassed the half-saint realm altogether, leaping from the peak of Dou Saint directly to a true Dou Sheng. Just hearing about it could make someone so angry they'd cough up blood, not to mention witnessing it firsthand. Originally, Wei, relying on his lifetime of strength, intended to kill Zi Yan on the spot, but unexpectedly, the sudden arrival of Yao Lao and the communication device interrupted his plan. In the end, he had no choice but to retreat in disgrace. Meanwhile, Zi Yan and the others returned to the New Yan Pavilion. Not long after returning to the New Yan Pavilion, Zi Yan began his secluded training, according to Yao Lao and the others' expectations, with the help of the Bodhi Heart and Bodhi Pill. Breaking through to Half Saint shouldn't be too difficult. However, what puzzled Yao Lao was that, even after 2 full years, Zi Yan's seclusion had not ended. During these 2 years, the Central Plains were quite turbulent. The Tianming sect announced an alliance with the Bin Ancient Wine Pavilion, along with some other sects, with some reputation in the Central Plains. They called themselves the Ming Alliance. As their power grew, their ambitions also gradually expanded. They even set their sights on the Xingyun Pavilion. Over the past 2 years, the Xingyun Pavilion's strength had also been steadily increasing. Plus, with Yao Lao, an advanced half-saint, as proof, to defeat the Xingyun Pavilion, the opposing side would need at least 2 advanced half-saint warriors. But according to Yao Lao's knowledge, within the Ming Alliance, only the Tianming old demon from Tianming had reached advanced half-saint level. So they couldn't? Where would they get the confidence to declare war on Xingyun Pavilion? Just as he was wondering this, the space at the entrance of the new realm suddenly tore open, forming a large rift. Then, a large group of figures entered the new realm. Leading them was the Tianming old demon from Tianming. Could he be considered an old nemesis? Since only the Tianming old demon was an advanced half-saint, Yao Lao naturally wasn't afraid. But at that moment, another spatial rift tore open. 2 figures slowly emerged from it, shocking everyone present. Both were half-saint warriors. Even Yao Lao's face twisted into a grimace. One of them was none other than the second heavenly venerable, Gu Yu. Even so, not a single person from Xingyun Pavilion surrendered or disarmed. They vowed to fight to the death. He vowed to fight to the death. Yao Lao is facing Gu Yu alone, along with Tianming the old demon, while the remaining junior half-saint, the 3 heavenly lords, can only be entrusted to Cailing, Xingling, Ziyi, and Xian. The 3 of them must be clear in their minds. One person facing to senior half-saints is a grim prospect, but given the current situation, there is no other choice. Immediately, the fierce battle between both sides ignited. Yao Lao instantly reached out his hand towards the void, directly pushing Gu back dozens of meters. Although all 3 are senior half-saints, Yao Lao possesses an advantage that ordinary half-saints do not have. That is, his soul power far surpasses theirs. In battles between equals, the various benefits brought by soul power give him a significant upper hand. Unfortunately, the opposition has to senior half-saints. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, the fight was equally intense. Sai Lin, Qing Lin, and Ziyi Xian are no ordinary Dou Saint warriors. One is the 7-colored devouring sky beast, another is the ancient heavenly snake, and the other has the evil poisonous body. If not for their special constitutions, they would have long since become lost souls under the 3 heavenly lords' blades. I'm afraid they have long since become spirits under the 3 heavenly lords' blades, lost souls. But even so, they still